Thank you very much. My name is Hiba Hamati. As I was last year honored to speak on me following the lipedema standard of care before I had my first surgery. And here I am, a year later, 2 surgeries later, and I'm here to talk to you about the mental and emotional impact of surgeries. So it's wonderful to see in the last few years that there's been such a great increase in resources and support for managing your physical health before and after surgery. But in my experience and the experience of so many patients that I spoke to, there's still glaring gaps in care when it comes to mental and emotional health, especially when it comes to post-op care. Now, this is interesting because with other major life-altering surgeries, such as weight loss surgery or organ transplant, you're required to go through a mental health evaluation, and that's for a good reason, because surgeries don't fix that. Whatever emotional and mental baggage you're carrying around before surgery, expect to lug it around, but in a post-op body. So what do we say when we talk about these surgeries are emotional? We need to look at the emotional and mental health. If we think of it like an iceberg, everything above the surface, that's the physical. And everything below, that's the mental and emotional that we're dealing with. So I'll take something simple, like swelling. You go in for a post-op visit and you're swollen, and the swelling isn't going down at the rate that you expected, and you're uncomfortable. And you're told, well, that's normal. It is. It takes time to resolve. It does. You have to be patient. You do. However, what's happening beneath the surface? Body dysmorphia, our good friend. We know this. We're used to this. We've had this for most of our lives, and it's kicked off because, my goodness, my body actually looks worse now than it did before surgery. My legs are actually bigger. My arms are actually bigger than before I had surgery. And that sometimes triggers disordered eating. Well, maybe I can diet and exercise this swelling away. You can't. And then when you're not feeling good about yourself, what ends up happening? You start to isolate. I don't want to go out. I don't want anybody to see me like this. I hate what I'm wearing. I hate how I look. And you isolate. And you isolate at a time where you're vulnerable and you need social support and you need that social safety net. And so what happens? You turn inwards and you start looking at yourself and you're hypercritical. And you walk by a mirror and you're like, I think my stomach's bigger than it was before my first 2 surgeries. And so you take a picture and you open your phone, and I know all of you do this too. I know you have thousands of unflattering body shots in your phone, and you'd be horrified if anybody went through your camera roll, but not for the reason you think, because you start looking at, well, what did I look like before? And was it like this? And was it this big? And was I wearing those pants? And was I standing at this exact spot? And it's like Minority Report. Remember that? You're starting looking at all these pictures, and you're deep into the archive, 2,000 pictures into your camera roll, and you're thinking, I thought I was fat here? Are you kidding me? I would love to be this fat again. And you're in this downward spiral. And you send this picture to some unsuspecting soul, and you say, I think I'm bigger than I was before my first 2 surgeries. And this lovely human texts you back, you look great. Okay, yeah, I look great, fine, whatever. But my stomach is bigger after these 2 surgeries. Do you agree? I don't see anything. You don't have the right pictures. Let me get you the pictures. Now you have the collage app open. You're dropping the pictures in. You're zoomed in. It's cropped. Everything's blurry. It looks like a Bigfoot video. And you send this off, and I don't know what's worse. If somebody tells you, I agree or I disagree. And if they agree, so you're saying that there's a difference and it's worse. And then we reach the uncertainty and regret portion of this downward spiral. Why did I do this? Did I trade one problem for another? This is getting worse. I'm never going to be able to fix this. And the downward spiral goes. So when somebody says, be patient, it takes time. That's true. But that's not going to pull you out of that spiral. That's not going to pull you out of that uncertainty and regret spiral. Ask me how I know. So what does? Look, there's lots of things that work for people. This is what worked for me. This is what worked for a lot of women that I spoke with. You have to accept that 2 things can be true at one time. I can be incredibly frustrated with what's going on. I can hate my body. I can be unhappy with results, but I can be so remarkably grateful that I had the opportunity to have this surgery, because it's not lost on me that that is inaccessible for a lot of people who want and need it. But that's still my experience. It's frustrating. I'm not happy. I don't like how I look. I don't like how I feel. I don't like how this recovery is going. And that's the other thing about recovery. You can be recovered but not healed. Look, I surprisingly bounced back from surgeries fairly quickly. I'm that obnoxious person in the hospital that was walking up and down the hallway saying hello and good morning, probably because I was happy that the anesthesia didn't kill me or knock me out for a week. But come talk to me in 6 weeks, and I'm much less bright-eyed and bushy-tailed at that point, where I feel like I'm still in week 2 of recovery because my swelling is so bad and I'm still feeling pretty rough. When your body is in this massive state of flux, the best thing you can do is just be consistent. Just stay the course, rest, eat, move your body, use all the therapies that you've done all before surgery, because surprise, you're gonna have to do them after surgery as well. So just keep doing it, and eventually your body's gonna catch up. And you have to find ways to track your progress that's not related to the size of your body. For somebody who loves data and graphs and just throw it in a spreadsheet and let me see the graph, but you know what? We need to leave that to Dr. Herbst and these brilliant researchers who are doing all of that work, because those metrics, those graphs, that's not for a post-op body. For a post-op body, you have to look at, what is my mobility? How is my strength? How is my pain? How are my other health markers? What are these small things that I see that have changed since I've had... Hello? Okay. What are these small things that have changed since I've had surgery? And they call them glimmers. If you're not familiar with that term, that's an opposite of a trigger. And it's something small, and it's subtle, but collectively it just makes you feel so much better. And that can be something like a child or a pet jumps into your lap and you don't flinch and wince with pain immediately. You are able to blow dry your hair for more than 30 seconds at a time because your arm isn't so painfully heavy. You have to drop it and rest or put it on the side and move your head over. You have to look for those small things because that's progress. That's how you're getting better. That's how your body is healing. And the other metrics, some may catch up, others may not, but ultimately look for these things that aren't tied to the size of your body. Cultivating your circle. This is so important. Find your people. Find people who can offer you insights and advice and guidance based on their journeys, who've been there, who've been where you are, and can motivate you and inspire you and give you hope that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and you will get there too. And then I want you to turn around and do that for somebody else, because there is nothing as healing as being able to help somebody else along on their journey and make it just a little bit easier. And sometimes you just have to reset and recalibrate your boundaries. Sometimes you're the person that is on every social media site and looking at all the pictures and commenting on everything, and I love it and it's wonderful and that's great. And sometimes you just have to take a break, and sometimes you can't be that person. So for me, I've noticed that when I'm kind of in that headspace of I'm not feeling so great about my body, I'm not feeling so great about how things went, and I see somebody who's posted their before and afters, and I think, look at that, good for you. That's wonderful, and I am happy for you, but I'm bitter. So, so I look at that, and then I see, oh, well, this is me 4 weeks post-op, and I'm still pretty swollen. I'm like, 4 weeks post-op, and you're still a little swollen, so things will get better. Here I am, 4 weeks post-op, or 4 months post-op, and when I take off my compression to shower, it looks and feels like an airbag deploying. That's swelling. If you want to talk swelling, let me tell you about swelling. At that point, I'm in a negative space. I have to pull myself out. It's timeout. Timeout is required, and that's okay, because this community, the way that it works, it should be you take what you need and you leave what you don't. And sometimes you need more, sometimes you need less. Take what you need and leave what you don't. When your body is a constant experiment and constantly checking, a constant medical experiment, it's very easy to become disconnected, very easy. And you have to be mindful about reconnecting to your body, whether that's through joyful movement, meditation, breathing exercises, whatever it is, you have to reconnect to your body. And along the way, you have to stop and you have to celebrate every victory and every win. And sometimes they're massive, and it's, I walked an extra 20 minutes today and I felt good and I could have kept going if I wanted to. And sometimes that win is, well, I only randomly cried once today, so W, it's a win. You take the wins where you can get them. And then the last part, and I think this is the most important yet the most difficult, is the emotional processing. April did a beautiful job talking about the literal and figurative weight of this disease and what it does to us. And surgery is no different. And for somebody who's goal-oriented, you need a finish line. You need to be done. So this isn't really for you. So as somebody who's goal-oriented and needs a finish line, I struggle quite a bit. I want to be done. I want to know I do X, Y, Z, I get here. I do A, B, C, I get here. There's none of that here. You all know that. So how do you deal with that? Well, for me, sometimes I, in the past, would give myself a little toxic positivity. It's fine, everything's fine, I'm fine. At least I know what's going on, but everything's good, it's great, it'll be wonderful, it's fine. I stopped that. And instead, I allow myself 24 hours to just take my brain offline, take logic out of the equation, and just give myself 24 hours to have all the feelings, feel all of the emotions. It's all heart, it's all emotions, nothing else. And let me tell you, I throw a rager of a pity party. I am angry, I'm mad, I'm crying, I'm screaming, I'm swearing. I want to know why it took so long for somebody to find this. I want to know why so many are suffering. I want to know why so much is inaccessible to everyone. I want to know why insurance thinks this is plastic surgery and cosmetic. I want to know how I'm spending so much money and not even having fun. And I get to this point, and I just, after I have just raged and cried decades of tears, I get to a point where I hear a voice that says, but you did it. You did it. You got through it. You figured out what was wrong on your own. You found the people to help you. You found a community of people who are beautiful, loving, and supportive, who carry you through. You did it. And even though you're drowning sometimes, you still throw out a lifeline and say, look, I don't know how to swim right now either, but maybe both of us cannot drown together. And you did it. And then my brain comes back online, and I remember who I am, and I remember what I'm capable of, and I remember who has my back, and I remember I can do this. Oh. If there's one thing I can say just as a takeaway for patients who've gone through this, I hope there was something in this that resonated with you, that made you just feel a little bit that you're not alone, that you're not losing your mind going through these things. Our experiences are very shared and they're not unique, and I hope that you found some comfort in that. If you were wanting to have surgery and going down that path, I'm not trying to scare you. I don't want to deter you. I just want you to make that decision with eyes wide open, because if you're in a vulnerable state before surgery, this isn't just something that could maybe not be so great, it could be detrimental. So I beg you, please be mindful of that as you enter this journey. And then doctors, nurses, therapists, please ask those questions beyond that surface. Dig deeper. And you don't have to go deep. We don't expect a psychologist, but just say, hey, how are you doing? How are you really doing? And I promise you, somebody who's struggling, it's not going to take much for you to crack them open. They will be in tears within 15 seconds. Ask those questions and find help for the people who truly are struggling. And then lastly, I would be remiss if I didn't thank... What happened?
They're laughing at me.
Oh, okay. I said I would be remiss if I didn't thank the beautiful people who have helped me along my journey, my amazing parents, my fantastic brother, doctors, nurses, therapists, friends, this absolutely beautiful community that has celebrated my highest of highs and picked me up at my lowest of lows and stood by my side through every part in between. I love you. I'm so grateful for you. I don't know what I would do without you, but also please delete our text threads. Thank you.
Thank you. That was an excellent presentation. And you kind of touched on what I was going to ask you.
Yes.
That was a wonderful presentation for patients
Yes.
that are contemplating having surgery or already had surgery. Mm-hmm. What advice would you have for people like me as a doctor to help prepare my patients for surgery and support them afterwards? Asking how they're doing seems important, but also almost like too simple.
Yeah.
What else can I really do?
Actually, there is no such thing. There is no such thing as too simple. Sometimes it is just a simple question of how are you? Because when you're asked that, I'm telling you, when you're not doing well and somebody asks how are you or hugs you, forget it, you fall apart because you're just waiting for that lifeline to be thrown to you. So throw that lifeline. But before surgery, also talk about this. Like, this is not an easy thing. The physical recovery alone is not an easy thing. And then you layer in all of these other mental and emotional struggles on top of that, and you have to let them know that you need to be are you in a place to have the support to move forward with this and not let it completely pull you under.
Thank you.
Thank you.